Matthew chapter 12. In that term, Jesus went in the Sabbath terms through the sown fields. But his learning ones hungered, and they Origen began to pluck off ears of grain and to eat. But the Pharisees, having perceived this, said to him, Perceive, your learning ones do what is not allowed to do on the Sabbath. But he said to them, Have you not read what David did when he hungered and those with him? How he came into the dwelling site of God, and how they ate the bread of the setting forth, which was not being allowed for him to eat, but also for not those with him, except to the priests alone? Or did you not read in the law that in the Sabbath terms, the priests in the consecrated site profane the Sabbath and yet are guiltless? But I say to you, something greater than the consecrated site is here. But if you had come to know what it is, mercy I want and not sacrifice, not will you down deprive of right, as it were, those guiltless. For the Son of the human is Lord of the Sabbath. And having stepped further from there, he came into the synagogue, and perceived there was a human having a dried up hand, and they asked on him, saying, Whether is it allowed to cure in the Sabbath terms? This they asked so they could accuse him. But he said to them, Which human out of you will be as one who has only one sheep? And so if this one falls into a pit in the Sabbath terms, who as holding it will not raise it up? Hence perceive in how much more through carrying is a human than a sheep, so that it is allowed to do ideally in the Sabbath terms. Then he says to the human, Outstretch your hand, and he outstretched it, and it was relieved from the downstand as one becoming healthy. But the Pharisees having come, outtook and altogether counsel against him, seeking so that they could wholly loosen him away. But Jesus, having become knowing regarding this, absconded up from there. And many followed him, and he cured them all, and warned them lest they may revile him. This happened so that it may be completely fulfilled, that having been taught through the prophet Isaiah, saying, Perceive, my boy who I took aside to me, my beloved, in whom my soul well deems, I will set upon him my spirit, and he will announce judgment to the nations. He will not strive, but also not make an outcry, but also not will someone hear his voice in the broad streets. A reed having been battered together, he will not crack down, and a smoldering linen wick he will not extinguish, till as it were he drives out the judgment into that which conquers. And on account of his name nations will expect. Then was brought to him one being demonized, who was blind and deaf-mute, and he cured regarding these sicknesses, so that the deaf-mute spoke, and look saw. And all the throngs were shocked, and said, Even surely not is this one the son of David? But the Pharisees hearing this said, This one does not drive out the demons except by means of the Beelzebul, the archbeing of the demons. But perceiving their intentions, he said to them, Every regency being parted against itself will be desolated, and every city or house being parted against itself will not be made to stand. And if the Satan drives out the Satan, then he was parted on against himself. Hence, how will his regency be made to stand? And if I drive out the demons, in by means of Beelzebul, in by means of whom do your sons drive them out? Therefore, they will be your judges. But if in by means of the Spirit of God I drive out the demons, consequently the regency of God comes prior unto you. Or how is anyone able to come into the house of the strong one and thoroughly rob his implements? So if he does not bind beforehand the strong one, and then thoroughly rob his house, the one not being with me is against me, and the one not leading together with me disperses in regards to me. Therefore I say to you, every failance and blasphemy will be remitted to the human, but the blasphemy against the Holy Spirit will not be remitted. And whoever says a word against the Son of the human, to him will be remitted. But who as it were says something against the Holy Spirit, not will it be remitted to him, neither in this aeon, or in the one being about to come. Either make the tree ideal, and the fruit is ideal, or make the tree rotten, then also its fruit rotten. For this cause, out by its fruit the tree is known. You become ones of adders. How are you, being evil, able to speak good things? For out of the abundance of the heart the mouth speaks. The good human drives out forth out of the good store the good, and the evil human drives out forth out of the evil store evil. But I say to you, every unworking talk which the human will speak, they will give word concerning it in the day of judgment. For out of your words you will be justified, and out of the words you will be down deprived of right. Then some of the scribes and Pharisees answered him, saying, Teacher, we want to perceive a sign from you. But answering, he said to them, This evil and adulterous generation seeks on a sign, and a sign will not be given to it except the sign of the prophet Jonah. For just as Jonah was in the body cavity of the sea monster 3 days and 3 nights, thus the Son of the human will be in the heart of the earthland 3 days and 3 nights. Men, Ninevites, will rise in the judgment with this generation and will condemn it, since they co-thought into that heralded of Jonah, and perceive more than Jonah is here. The regentess of the south will be awakened in the judgment with this generation, and she will condemn it, since she came from the ends of the earthland to hear the wisdom of Solomon, and perceive more than Solomon is here. But when, as it were, the unclean spirit has come out from the human, he comes through waterless places seeking up repose, and does not find it. Then he says, I will turn on about into my dwelling site whence I came out, and having come, he finds it having ease, and having been swept and having been adorned. Then he goes and beside takes, yea, with himself, 7 ulterior spirits, more evil than he himself. And as having come in, they down dwell there, and the last state of that human becomes worse than the foremost ones. Thus will it also be in this evil generation. Still, while he was speaking to the throngs, perceive, the mother and the brothers of him had taken stand outside, seeking to speak to him. But any one of his learning ones said, Perceive, your mother and your brothers are outside and seek you. But answering, he said to the one saying it to him, Who is my mother and who are my brothers? And outstretching his hand to his learning ones, he said, Perceive, my mother and my brothers. For this cause any, whom as it were, does the will of my Father in the heavens, he is my brother, and sister, and mother.